Am I the asshole for refusing to visit my brother and his newborn because of what he did 2 years ago? I am 33, lost my wife 2 years ago. Right now I'm a single dad of my 9-year-old son. My wife had cancer. It was too much for her to take, but she always said that our son was her strength. She was receiving treatment and spending time at home with our son. She always said that she wanted to spend as much time at home with our son as possible. She just knew. I took care of our son's needs, as well as household. Her family was very supportive. Her sister helped by driving her to the hospital. But my family didn't do much. My brother, age 37, kept coming over and making comments about how our home was a mess and unhealthy for our son. Claimed that he was being neglected and asked what would happen to him after my wife passed away. He bluntly said that it was unfair for our son to live like that. And kept being negative and telling those things to my wife, making her feel bad and worried. I told him to stop coming over and just leave us alone. I was angry with him. I went low contact. And 1 month before my wife passed away, I had a visit from the CPS. My wife was home when they came. They did an interview with me and my son. I explained my wife's condition and they talked to her sister and informed me that someone called them and filed a report about our situation and possible neglect in our house. Eventually nothing came out of the report. My wife never stopped crying. She got very sick that night. And I'm sure she felt helpless, as if she was a bad mother. I assured her that she was in fact stronger than most people and that the report was nothing, so she shouldn't have been worried. But she couldn't help it. My dad called me a week after, telling me to be careful. My brother reported me to CPS and was bragging about it, hoping they'd take action. I was livid. I got into a huge argument with him and all who defended him, and I cut contact with him right then. After my wife's funeral, no one visited except for her sister. I talked to my family, but I haven't talked to my brother for 2 years after what he did and all the stress he caused my wife. Last week my mom called me to tell me my brother and his wife had a baby boy and wanted me to bring my son and visit him. I refused. She called me unreasonable and told me to let my son meet his cousin and uncle. To just forgive and forget. She kept pressuring me despite saying I don't want to. My dad himself said it's time for us to reconcile and get together as a family. I ended up yelling at them that I won't forget the scene my brother made before my wife passed away and claiming that we were bad parents, knowing that we were struggling and doing all we can. They just kept insisting I visit and see how it goes. But I still refused. My brother didn't apologize. I only talked to my parents. This is his first baby with his wife. They had issues with miscarriages in the past.
Not the asshole. I'd let him all know you'll go and see with them too if they keep this up. Last I checked, the sister was the only one actually helping and the only one to come to your wife's funeral. They all suck. Not the asshole. He tried to have your son removed from you while your wife was dying and bragged about it. He'd be dead to me.
Not the asshole, not the asshole, not the asshole. 1. He called CPS on you for no reason. 2. He put unnecessary stress on your wife in her final days. F him. He would be dead to me.
Not the asshole. Kind of hard to forgive people who haven't even apologized. Also, he didn't even call you himself to tell you he wanted you and your son to visit. He tagged your mom into it. You don't owe him any of your attention or time.
After my wife's funeral, no one visited except for her sister. Okay, well then, your parents lost any credibility when it comes to family matters. Not the asshole.
Whoa, man. Totally not the asshole. Your brother was unbelievably cruel to send CPS to your and your dying wife's home in her final months, and it pains me to read that your own father was proud of that act and his general gross behavior. You were right to go low contact then, and you'd be in the right to cut them off now. If you do ever feel compelled to have your and your brother's sons to meet, I recommend having one positive interaction with your brother, just you two, in neutral territory before bringing your families together. Then again, if I were you, I would have no problem dropping them altogether with the way they've acted.
Not the asshole. It's sort of hard to forgive and forget with someone who saw a dying woman enjoying her last years with her child and thought, you know what, I'm gonna call CPS because she's prioritizing this over cleaning.
Not the asshole. I am so very sorry for your loss. Your feelings are valid. If your brother was so concerned, he could have offered some practical help rather than making comments. Going to CPS as your wife was dying is disgusting. I don't think I'd ever be able to get over that tbh. It sounds to me like he wanted to see you hit rock bottom and lose everything. Nobody gets to dictate your grief and your feelings to you. Now that he has a son, he better be keeping his house in tip-top shape all the time. Not the asshole. 1. Told your dying wife she was a bad mother. 2. Tried to get your kid taken away from you. 3. Bragged about it. 4. Had the family take his side. FCK that no contact with him, ever. And NC with A1 of your family, unless they come asking for forgiveness. Not the asshole so sorry for what happened to your wife and what your brother put you through. But it sounds to me like your son is better off not knowing them. Keep in mind to tell him about this when he is the appropriate age though, don't just keep it from him.
Not the asshole. Tell them all to fuck right off. Not the asshole. Makes me so sad you went through that, I'm so sorry. But as another one commented, that guy would have been dead to me. Like, there's nothing to do. When you needed him the most, he didn't support you, neither did he go silence but actually went against you. Sounds like a douche to me. Your brother suck.
What your brother did was beneath contempt. Your wife deserved to live her final days in love and peace. By doing what he did, he denied her that. To me, that is unforgivable. I would hate him with my last breath. There is no way he should get within 1,000 miles of you and yours ever again. Tell your family that you are permanently done with your brother, no discussion, and that you are prepared to cut off anyone who continues to harass you about this issue.
Not the asshole. As far as I would be concerned, I wouldn't have a brother. And if I got real petty, he'd have a visit from CPS too.
Not the asshole. It's time to go low contact or even NC with your parents.
Not the asshole. Your brother won't even show the courage to apologize in person. Probably he doesn't care and it is your parents wishing for a happy family reunion. What your brother did was horrible and he is still unaware of all the pain he inflicted upon your family.
Not the asshole. He is the most unbelievably egregious asshole.
Not the asshole. I'm so sorry you had to go through that in your moment of struggle when your family should have been there to support you. Your parents are also going about everything the wrong way. I've found in my experience that when someone wrongs another, it is not for others to interfere in the way they are. Ultimately, it will be up to you and your brother to reconnect with each other. Question. Has your brother even tried to reconcile with you at all in the last 2 years?
Not the asshole. If your parents walked away from you in such a dire time of need because you stood up to your brother for deliberately harassing your wife in her last days, they are not your actual family. They are jerks who chose him over you, and are only fussing at you now because they will be embarrassed when people ask where you are. Walk away. You and your son deserve better.
What he did is unforgivable. Not the asshole for not wanting that toxic, heartless excuse of a brother near your family. He might do it again. Absolutely do not let him close to you.
Not the asshole. Continue to stay away from him. What he did to you and your wife in her last days is unforgivable. He's beyond an asshole. Your parents are most definitely Oz too.
Wow. Not the asshole. And I'm so sorry for your loss and your crappy family. You're an amazing parent, don't ever forget that.
Not the asshole. Holy fuck. Your family sucks. Hope you have some good friends.
Don't reconnect with these evil people. If I was dying, the only thing that would give me peace would be believing that my children would have a loving family to take care of them and minimize their stress. Worrying that my children would have to deal with the nasty whims of their extended family and CPS trying to take them after I'm gone would be torturous. I don't personally think your wife got sicker that night because she felt like a bad mom. I think she was sick with worry about your nasty family and what might happen to her child after she was gone. Not the asshole. Stay mad at these shit-stirring good-for-nothings.
Not the asshole. Your backstabbing brother called CPS hoping to destroy your family in the little time your wife had left, yet now he wants you to celebrate his family. Nope.
NTA. And your mom and dad are walking a very thin line. Your brother ruined her last days and filled it with even more stress and guilt. Just because he was petty. That's a point of no return.
Not the asshole. Call CPS on your brother, accuse him of vile stuff with his newborn. Then, after it's all said and done and he forgives and forgets what you did, agree you'll think about it. Not the asshole. Your child doesn't have an uncle, just an asshole he shares a genetic connection to. Not the asshole. However, the miscarriages comment makes me think. Is it possible that this was what was fueling him in the first place? Jealousy, hoping he would get your son. It's inexcusable, but then it's more of a mental health issue. Still, you're fully in your rights to ignore him.
Not the asshole. Your brother made it pretty clear that he isn't going to treat you good, having should be treated, and then bragged about it. And it seems like your parents didn't really think that was too much of an issue. You can choose who you consider family. You're under no obligation just because you're biologically related, and who's to say exposing your son to him won't result in more toxic behavior?
Absolutely no forgiveness. He would never set eyes on me or my child again, ever. He did something absolutely horrible to your family. You owe him nothing. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. After seeing the comment about the brother and Sil having issues with miscarriages, I bet the brother was jealous Op had a kid at all. He was probably hoping CPS would pull the kid from the home so he and his wife could swoop in and offer to take custody, giving him the child they so wanted.
Even taking out all of the context, bottom line is he called CPS. He tried to take your child from you. That alone is grounds for no contact. Add in everything else and I legit have no idea how you held back from causing him bodily harm. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I get the impression that your brother never apologized for filing a false report and upsetting your dying wife. I might be tempted to say to my dad, if my brother writes an apology for falsely reporting me to CPS, I might consider forgiving. Part of the 12 steps as the person makes amends for what they did. Your brother never has done that. You are under no obligation to play nice with someone that tried to get your child taken away.
Not the asshole. Instead of helping and supporting you, your brother and family left you hanging. Your brother didn't help and showed no remorse for his actions, and to brag about it was even worse. He didn't help you at your worst, and at this moment he doesn't deserve to see you or your son. There is no forgiving for what he did. Family does not do what he did. You continue to love your son and live your life and be the best father that you can to him.
I am petty. I would totally mend fences, and the very first time I saw a mess in their house, I would call CPS.
Not the asshole. This sort of situation, I'm reminded of what my dad says about his horrible, awful sister. Just because they are family doesn't mean you have to like or see them.
NTA.
Not the asshole. Just because your brother is now a father doesn't mean he isn't a colossal douche. Stick to your guns in this one. Not the asshole. If he was concerned and over that frequently, he could have offered to clean since he knew the circumstances.
Not the asshole. I would leave your son with your late wife's sister, visit, and point out every speck of dust or dirt and warn your brother what could happen. Karma is a bitch.
Not the asshole. You don't get to send your parents on an errand asking for reconciliation when you haven't even owned and apologized for what you did. Not the asshole. He called CPS on you, bragged about it, distressed your dying wife, made her feel like shit, and didn't even show up to pay respects to her funeral. He'd be dead to me, and if your family keeps this up, let them know they might be too. They are being super insensitive.
If he felt the son was being neglected while his mom was dying, why didn't he get off his lazy ass and help? Because he's an asshole. I'd tell my parents the next time they ask me to see their son I won't talk to them for a week. The second time a month. And the third they're only going to have one son. Not the asshole.
I'm very sorry you lost your side. And found out how shitty your brother is and what enablers your parents are. Personally, I'd block them all. Evil me would send my brother a typed-out letter that simply states, "Let's hope you never get a CPS call." As for the parents, how shameful of them, and in all honesty this is not something that you could ever just forgive or forget. I doubt your brother would ever apologize and feels zero remorse. Hug your son. Live a great life. Not the asshole.
It sounds like they're more his parents than your parents. If someone's that fucking evil that they're bragging about trying to harm someone with dying loved one, then you don't need them in your life. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Sorry for your loss.
Not the asshole. Some things are just unforgivable. Wish I could give your brother a kick in the balls. You sound like an amazing father, and your son I lucky to have you. I'm so sorry for your loss. Fuck all of that. Not the asshole. Drop anyone who doesn't 10,000% defend you. The nerve of your family to treat you like this. They should be ashamed.
Not the asshole. You don't go to a family in crisis and pick holes. You go there, roll up your sleeves, and you help.